Hello friends and potential friends. Been thinking about this for a while and figured I would try to make a video of some of the, shall we say, challenges that I face here in my little microculture. When we bought this property, we bought it for the backyard. There were, I think we had 8 or 9 good-sized oak trees in the backyard. Hurricanes cut that down to about 6. But one thing I've learned, especially since I started gardening, is in Florida everything wants to grow, including the trees. Now this is Central Florida, the Sunshine State. I'm standing in my backyard, right about in the middle of my backyard right now. And it's almost noon on, August 8th, I think. The sun is just now starting to hit my 3 main raised beds. They've been in the shade until now. In fact, off in the distance you can see where my squash and various other things are at, and that's still in the shade and probably will be for another few hours. But presents some unique challenges. I'm not going to call them problems because I've never considered them problems. I think these trees are beautiful. But they do create some challenges. One of the biggest challenges that I face here is that in my backyard, at least, I don't have any space that gets more than about 3 to 4 hours of sunlight. That can be a good thing and a bad thing. I came real close to buying a bunch of shade cloth earlier this year to try to save my tomatoes and things. That didn't work, but anyway, I'll probably have some shade cloth before next summer. But just to give you an idea of what I'm dealing with here, right now I'm facing due south, standing in the middle of my backyard, and that's south. That's the open space I have to deal with for the sun to get through. The sun comes up this time of year right there. And it gets past the trees about noon. It's just now starting to pass up the last limbs of those oak trees right there. And I think there are 3 of them in there still, though only a couple of them are alive. And as it crosses the sky, it then runs into this. That one's about 60, 70 feet tall. And that's off to the, southwest, I guess. I have this Chinaberry tree that I really want to get out of here, though it only creates a small shade spot, because to the west of me, I've got another oak tree. And that one's a good 75, 80 feet tall, and it's huge. It's about 6 foot in diameter at the base. Kind of interesting because the base of that tree is in my backyard, but all of the limbs hang over my neighbor's yard. It'd be great for climbing if I was about 40, 50 years younger. And then to the north we have more trees. And even more trees. You can see a lot of these trees are covered up with our, what they call air potatoes, a noxious vine that kills just anything it can climb on. That one over there is some kind of wild grape, and I can't even tell what kind of tree it is under it because it's completely covered. And then as we swing around to the east, I have my big oak tree, which is right above me. That one's beautiful with all the moss. I used to have a big magnolia tree here too, but the hurricanes took care of that. The stump is still there, covered up with vines. And now we're facing due east. And then we start into the oak trees again. So yeah, I've got some challenges, things that I have to overcome. And then with the techniques that I'm using, I basically am trying to just grow everything without much of any preservatives, chemicals, Don't use any chemicals. I'll use some Epsom salts, a little bit of blood meal, bone meal, but mostly I just use the compost that I collect from here. And I don't have animals, can't have chickens, don't have rabbits, so I don't have any good fertilizer to put into the compost. So yeah, I struggle, but I recognize those challenges and I've decided to embrace them and just see what I can do. I mean, thankfully right now I'm not in a situation where I have to depend on my garden to feed me, although I would like to get to that point at some point. But yeah, things like to grow in Florida. Trees, everything. And pretty much everything here, if it's not a plant, it's probably going to turn into an insect. You should have seen my wife's face the first time she saw a walking stick. So, you know, I don't have the most, I look at some of the channels I follow on YouTube and I see their lush gardens with huge peppers and huge tomatoes and sweet potatoes growing all over everywhere. And yeah, sometimes a little bit envious of that. But then I know that their situation is different from mine. My situation, I'm doing the best I can. I'm happy with what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm even proud of it, though I tend to get discouraged from time to time as well. But yes, there are challenges around here. My challenge really is sunlight, which is kind of ironic since I'm in the Sunshine State. Yeah, we have challenges here in Florida, just like everybody else does. And I've just decided that so long as I am here, I'm just going to do the best that I can do with it. I'm probably not going to have huge yields. I will probably always be fighting with the insects and other pests and talking to my racers whenever they decide to come out and visit. But yeah, it's home, and I'm embracing the concept of doing what I can where I am. And so far, I'm happy with it. I mean, I don't really have to feed myself out of this garden, but I do have to feed my soul. And so for me, the garden is therapy. And I'm looking at it as a positive and a good thing. Even though it doesn't match up with a lot of the gardens that I see out on YouTube, a lot of whom I follow regularly, it's what I've got, and I can learn a lot from it. I have learned a lot from it. I mean, 7 years ago, I couldn't keep a cactus alive. Now I can't seem to kill sweet potatoes. But I'm happy with it, and I hope this doesn't sound like I'm whining or anything. I know my voice tends to do that sometimes, but I'm growing what I can, where I can. It's therapy for me, and once in a while I get to eat something out of it too. So I hope this provides a little bit more explanation of why I'm so proud of my little squash. Still in there, looking good. Yep, I've already looked at it 3 times today. But anyway, let me pull this to an end and see if I can turn it into anything worth putting up on the channel. We'll talk to you next time, folks. Bye-bye.